Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10. You are here with JP, Caleb, and our mini Therese, La Charles, the man. What's up, guys?
What's
Hey,
up?
man.
How's everybody doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. How are you doing?
Very well.
How are you doing, Charles?
Very good. Very good.
Good. Happy to have you on, man. Thank you for
Yeah, man.
coming.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
Mhm.
Well, it's been kind of a weird couple of, week between the Aaron Rodgers situation, the Kyler Murray situation, some coaching changes, and we have some tidbit information about some coaches, or a coach that was brought back into the Kansas City Chiefs and his role, which we put out, and then apparently another group tried to steal it, but it is what it is. Also, the combine's going on, and Charles got a chance to pay attention to a lot of that, to where Caleb and I did not. So we'll let him run with a bunch of that stuff as well during the show. Let's knock out some really quick things. They are going to extend Tyreek Hill. They're working on it right now, which we've talked about. You know, we knew this a year ago, but it looks like that's going to work out in our favor and in his favor, for that matter. There was a story that came out, an article, that the Washington Commanders called every team in the NFL, including the Kansas City Chiefs, and inquired about Patrick Mahomes as a trade. Well, just so you guys know, that was a false story. They did call, and the conversation started out with, we're looking for a quarterback, and the answer, or the response was, I hope you're not calling about Mahomes because you should know better. And they said, no, we know better. We're calling about Bouchel. So
Okay.
it wasn't about Mahomes. So for everybody out there that thought that was even on the table, and Washington's, I mean, they're stupid, but they're not that stupid. It just is what it is. No, I mean, and Bruce Arians made a comment when that I guess apparently whoever wrote that article, it's FanSided actually who wrote it. One of their, must be a very young writer with FanSide to even put it out on paper. But Bruce Arians got wind of it, and they asked him, and they said, well, he said, to put it in perspective, for an unretired 44-year-old Tom Brady, I would start with 5 first-round picks. I would start there. So you can imagine what it would take to get a 26-year-old Mahomes. And he kind of laughed and chuckled it off because he knew it was a joke. But they were actually inquiring about Shane Bouchel, and it's understandable. He's a good quarterback, and I think he's actually probably going to move up into the rotation at some point within the next year.
Probably.
Or so.
I wouldn't be surprised.
We've already protected him, I think, once, maybe twice. Once against
he
Arizona.
was on I know we had to elevate him, JP. They had to make sure a point where he's just going to be on the roster.
Yeah.
Because teams were trying to take him, like the Cardinals.
Yeah. I think the Cardinals, I think Atlanta went after him once. There was a couple of teams that went after him, and I'm sorry, not Atlanta, New Orleans. And look, we're not going to let go of players that, we know are going to be our future and our good backups. We've got a good backup, but we don't know what's going to happen with him, and we don't know how long he's going to last. This kid wants to learn from Mahomes, and he's got some great attributes. So I doubt very seriously he goes anywhere. The Chiefs are going to hang on to him as long as they can. I do know, if it helps anybody, from what I understand, Jody Fortson will be back next year.
That's good.
I did hear some rumblings about Charvarius Ward coming. They were going to work a deal out with him to come back. You've had your skeptics on Twitter saying that, he's not coming back, blah, blah, blah. But I do, from what I've heard, they want him back. So we'll see what happens there. As far as the defensive line goes, Clark is either going to be restructured or cut. Dead cap space, depending on when it's done, could be around $7 million, but it saves us $16 million. So it'd be, worth it if they did cut him, or if they restructured him, because I still think, he could be a good rotational piece. I don't know about you guys, but I think maybe a rotational piece, maybe. And he knows the system. But Hurd Reed is gone. It's just a matter of time before they cut him, unless they already did. They may have. I've been kind of out of it for the last couple of days, but
Yeah, he's a free agent, so he can it's either re-sign him or let him walk.
Yeah, they're going to let him walk, I should say. Yeah,
he didn't do really much this season at all. What did he get? $7 million all season?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was like, $7 million.
Man, it doesn't seem like he did any. What were you gonna say, Charles?
He's quietly okay. I mean, he did generate some pressure up the middle, but I mean,
it was few and
kind of wanted
between.
more. You wanted more out of him.
Yeah, you would expect. I think the problem with him is that he wasn't able to help Jones, and when Jones was back inside, there was really no help for Jones, and that's a huge hit.
Yeah, you got more production from like Derek Nottie and Tershawn Wharton than you did from Jaron Reed. So
yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
And hey, for all the people out there that said that they didn't care if Wharton came back or not, I would love to have him back. The kid's speedy, he's fast, and he's got heart. So I know they are looking in the cornerback area, whether it be through free agency or draft. And right now, the Tyrann Matthew situation is a little bit up in the air. It sucks, but it is. We just don't know yet. They may be waiting until the last minute to see what they can draw. That's
something I wouldn't be surprised. Veach is looking at all the options.
He is. I mean, he always
when
does.
You look at the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah, he always does. He waits. He waited until the last minute with Chris Jones when he signed his contract, like we told everybody he was going to. It's just a matter of. It's really a matter of economics. I mean, it's a matter of money. It's all about the financials. And if you can make it work, you want it to. You want to keep the guys that understand your system and know your system, and that are actually productive in the system. I should put it that way. That's why they've hung on to D-Rob as long as they had, because regardless of who else was out there, he knew the system very well, and he did have some shining moments, although he ran backwards a lot, like he completely forgot which way his end zone was. There was, and it's funny because when I look at him doing it, it's like he doesn't do it right. And I don't know how to explain this, but when I see Tyreek, when I see Tyreek catch a ball and, he'll make a U-turn, somehow he makes that U-turn and it's perfect. When I see
he never loses yardage.
He never loses yardage. Kelsey doesn't lose yardage when he does it. For some reason, it's like D-Rob
just doing a stutter.
He does like a 180 instead of a 360, and he comes to a dead stop, and it's like, go ahead, fucking hit me. I mean,
oh yeah, that's when he runs the route right too. Like half the battle is him running the right route to begin with too. So it's like, dude, every time he catches the ball, it's like, as a fan watching, it's like, how did we get here? Why are we watching this right now?
Yeah.
But,
and then you turn around and you see these acrobatic, insane catches on the sideline or in the end zone where he looks like a freaking trapeze artist out there. And it's sad because he can make these insane catches, but then he turns around and he drops the ones that are 7-yard passes directly to him and they're lobs, and he can't hang on to it.
But JP, these catches are once every once in a blue moon, meaning they never really happen.
Well, that's true, and I agree with that. But and also in his defense,
we be seeing the comments fly
and against bad teams too.
But in his defense,
he does it against bad teams and bad players. I don't know, just kind of like thinking, did he have any catches against Buffalo in the divisional round? No. Like, I mean, does he show up against bad teams?
I think he did.
Let's look at this. I'm gonna look this up. Let me look at the stats.
I'm painting with a broad stroke right now, but I'm not a D-Rob guy. We share a last name, but I'm not a D-Rob guy.
Well, here's the thing with him. They showcased him for 2 straight games. Was was it Washington and then the Giants, if I'm not mistaken, or the Giants?
I think it was the Giants was the main one. Yeah,
the Giants was the main one, and they did it for a reason. He had 77% of the snaps in the Giants game. Okay, they did it because they were showcasing him and trying to make a trade, and
that's fair.
Nobody did it. They were working.
JP,
trade
I could have
deals.
told you, but JP, I could have told you no one was gonna pick him up.
I
man.
know, but
I could have told you no
damn.
one was gonna pick him up. You let D-Rob take Josh Gordon's spot. I mean, it's a travesty.
It is, and I'm gonna go. Hey, I'll be the first one to say that. I mean, Gordon with a good offseason, I'm still gonna say it until he actually proves to me on the field that he can't do it or they cut him. I still think he's got immense talent and extremely intelligent, and he's done everything he needs to do to get back into reality. So all these doubters and haters that are bitching because he didn't do anything on the 5 passes targets that he got last year. What do you expect from a guy that didn't get into the get on the playing field until like week 7 and maybe week 8, actually, for real numbers? You can't expect, and he's the last look. Okay. It'd be different if he was look 1, 2, or 3, but he's look 6 or look 7 on Pat's radar.
Yeah.
So when he's covered and he doesn't know the ball's coming because he doesn't know Pat's attributes and the way he plays the game, he'll learn that in the offseason. So everybody's got to get off his back, man. I mean, this dude,
well,
he's
I wasn't
built
on
like
his
a
back. I was just
21-year-old
saying
dude.
he should get more of a chance than
Hell
D-Rob.
yeah.
I wasn't I wasn't on his back, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. And honestly, that was that was Bieniemy's fault. I mean, it really was. That was Bieniemy's fault.
Yeah.
So,
and ideally, if he's up to speed, you see a lot of the targets that we, force sometimes to whoever, like any receiver or pass catching option on the team.
Yeah,
balls that were forced that we think about this year. Like if Mahomes and Gordon have that timing down and have a whole offseason together, a whole camp, and they can work together and kind of get that rapport.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying that solves our wide receiver 2 or like having another threat problem, but it definitely helps. Like,
well, he'd be a good third option, Charles.
100%. You bring someone else in. I mean, this is like a massive rabbit hole we could go down right now, but I'll stay on the surface right now.
Well, you're right. I mean, it is. You could, it could go one way or the other. I mean, he could be a complete bust, which I highly doubt, or he could be a guy that, and everybody mentions his age, and I'm getting tired of hearing that. He's 30 years old. He's playing in a 27, 28-year-old body. Actually, and he's built like he's 22. Deshaun Jackson is 36, going to be 37, was fucking returning punts for the Raiders.
Yeah, that's
my language.
Something.
But if you're going to be that age and return punts for the Raiders, a 31-year-old guy is not going to, his age doesn't affect him right now. Antonio Brown is 34, and he played really well when he was sane for that period during the, that time frame with the Bucks. He did very well. He ran his routes very well. And I tell you what, Josh Gordon is just as good as most of the wide receivers out there. And look, talking about dodging bullets, bro. All these players that everybody wanted, now OBJ out for a year. Another third ACL tear. Third ACL tear. I think Veach has got some kind of Veach and Andy together has some kind of a ESPN thing going. They can see shit in the future, and they know when something bad is going to happen, and it happens. It's crazy to think that they have passed on players like JuJu when they did, and OBJ when they did, and both of those guys. Now, OBJ contributed during the season, but when it counted the most, he was hurt, and that was in that Super Bowl. And he got injured on a non-contact play. His knee just went. His ankle, so.
I think you see that a lot, though, with guys who have hurt him before.
Yeah.
It's more non-contact than anything.
It is.
And at least OBJ got in the end zone before he
and I'm happy for him that he did.
And that makes me
I am
wonder,
too. I think that's good for that guy. But I know what you're saying. I agree.
Yeah.
with his injury
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
And that makes me kind of wonder, are players for getting all these injuries taking care of their body in the offseason? Are they rehabbing the right way? Because I'm just kind of curious why it's 3 ACL tears. I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about.
Well,
So
look at
that's kind of
JuJu.
what I was thinking.
I mean, I don't think JuJu takes care of his body at all in the offseason. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he works out.
Well, I mean, like, how do I say this? You know how like Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and them like every offseason working hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if some of these other players are doing that.
They're not.
Like they're
I
not
mean,
doing the Kelvin Benjamin thing where they're not working out, but they're doing not as much, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, they're
Yeah.
doing their little bits here and there, but they're not putting in the work to recover and also keep themselves in that condition that they need to be in to play multiple years. JuJu definitely isn't. I mean, it's scary to think that we're still somewhat interested in him, but
I don't see it happen. I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't either.
I really
but
don't.
I
They're
hope
still.
not.
I hope not either. But he's still on their radar. I'll put it that way. But
Probably
he,
like a third or fourth option, honestly.
I mean, the dude got injured and was out for. I don't think he played, but 2 games in the regular season and then played one
Something
playoff
small,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, he
So-
came back in week 16 against us, right?
No,
he came
back in the
playoff
playoffs.
game against us.
Was it the playoff game?
game?
Okay.
Yeah, playoff games, and he didn't do anything.
No.
He did nothing. So, it's like I swear, I look at these guys and I think, man, how do they just foresee this stuff? And and that if you think about it, it goes back to Melvin Ingram, because they passed on him once because he didn't pass the eye test. He still wasn't completely healed. They waited until he was before they went after him, and it actually saved them money.
That saved them
Smartest
money.
move they could have done. They're so damn smart when it comes to the way they handle these free agents and they go after them. It's just amazing to me. There's a few free agents out there I would love to see them grab, and they don't have to be big name players. Look, I'll tell you right now, Kareem Hunt will not be with the Cleveland Browns next year. He just won't.
Well, he'll get someone will take.
Somebody will take him in a minute. Saquon Barkley will not be with the Giants next year. So
the Chiefs. Let's hope that.
I would love to see it. I mean, I would. Has he had injuries? Here's the difference. That's another thing. Well, we already got one injury prone running back. Why do we need another? The difference is that Saquon got hurt twice, and they were long-term injuries, where CEH has been hurt pretty much 3 times in 2 years. Consistently injured. And Saquon
every 4 or 5 games something happens.
Correct. And Saquon is a lot better running back. I mean, flat out, just intelligent, fast, smart, gets skinny, breaks the lanes, does everything he's
an
supposed to do.
all-around running back.
He is.
No one's saying Clyde can't do that, but we've seen he just can't take the. It's difficult for him due to his size, if that makes sense.
It is. And it's sad because even with this great offensive line that we got, he's still
going in the other holes. It's like, okay.
Yeah, he only averaged 4.3 yards for the season. 4.3 yards a carry. I mean, look, if you take all of our running backs, and I understand McKinnon and I understand Gore, given the fact that they didn't play, but when they did play, they were above 6 yards a carry. Darrell Williams,
Gore especially.
Yeah, Gore especially. And when Darrell Williams was in the game, there was a few games he was at 6.8 yards a carry. So, but his average for the season was under 5 yards. So I guess it depends on how many carries you get. Also, it's all comparative, but I think we need to get, we're going to go, we already do this somewhat running back by committee. We did it this year, like Charles. Well, I brought it up a long time ago. I thought we should be doing that. And then everybody seemed to kind of jump on the bandwagon with all of us, but Charles agreed and you agreed. And then they started kind of doing it to a degree. They jumped from, McKinnon from Gore to Williams to McKinnon. Williams had most of the carries when CEH was injured. And then when CEH came back, it was between him and McKinnon, and Gore kind of got left out of the group a little bit there towards the end. And I think they need to give them all equal carries. It gives them fresh legs. It gives them longevity in the league, and it throws every defense off. I think that's what they really need to do. It worked great for a lot of teams over the years. And we had a running back by committee team for a while. You know, I mean, we did the Priest Holmes, Blaylock, and then Larry Johnson here and there when Larry Johnson finally got on the field, and it worked out great for us. So,
it did.
You know, it's just something that we got to look at and think, you know, do we want to? I mean, CEH's cap hit is nothing. I mean, it really is. It's like 2.8
They could trade
million.
him if they wanted to.
They could trade him if they wanted to, because his cap hit's only like 2.8 million, I think. I don't think it's much.
2.45.
2.45. Yeah, it's a small cap number. So
that was my point. Sorry, JP, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just saying that was my whole thing with the Saquon thing. Do I love the idea of a Chiefs offense with Saquon Barkley on it? Yes. But the way that I look at it is, you know, last year we had 4 guys who can hurt you in different ways. And an offensive line that can block, we could be a run first team if we wanted to with the offensive line that we have, but we chose not to. And we're going to continue to choose not to because Patrick Mahomes is our quarterback. And we have Travis Kelce, we have Tyreek Hill. We're going to get another receiving weapon. If we brought in Saquon next year, even if we only have to trade a 4th round pick, we're paying him $7.2 million.
Yeah, that's
$2 million more than we paid our entire running back room last year.
I understand.
We paid our whole running back room $5.38 million last year, and still had, middle of the pack rushing offense in the NFL. But with the way they're going to call the offense, they're never going to call an offense where we have a top 5 rushing offense. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
I think it's a waste of money.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Personally,
the Giants are going to eat some of that salary. I do know that. So for his trade, no matter what team he goes to, the Giants are eating some of his salary.
Do you think they're going to do that, though, if they only get a 4th rounder back?
They're probably they already know they're only going to get a 4th rounder because of his injury status in the past.
Yeah, no, I know. But at that point, if I'm the Giants, and I'm not trying to argue with you. All I'm saying is,
I understand.
You're good, man.
If I'm the Giants, if you're only going to get a 4th rounder back, why not just keep him and let him walk? Because you're not really getting anything for him at that point.
Well, you can find some quality players in the 4th round too.
True.
I see what you're saying. I still kind of feel like if we added Saquon and the Giants eat say $4 million of the cap, $4 million of his contract, I think having someone if Chiefs were to get him, that right there basically says is that you can run the ball with Barkley. Whenever you have an issue and you just want to run down the clock, we finally have some running backs that can help us. And I think you can get Barkley involved many different ways in the running game, the passing game, the screen. He can do a lot of different things.
Oh,
so I
he's
think
crazy
adding him,
in the pass game.
I think it could help. I think it could really help because Chiefs love to throw. I'm like, okay, well, let's come back. I think also letting him run the ball is going to be very, very beneficial because we finally have a running back that are probably, in my opinion, not Kareem Hunt-esque, but can basically mow down defenders, but help take the clock down. But I think that makes sense. But we're seeing someone can kind of help consistently. And I think Veach seeing that, you guys spend a little money there in order to get to work. But a 4th round pick for him and say the Giants eat $3.5-4 million of his cap, I say that's a deal. You go for that. You go for that in a heartbeat.
If they eat that much of the money, I don't disagree.
What I heard was they were going to eat about 35%. So at 35%, you're looking at probably for what? Somewhere around 5 million.
Two and a half million. Yeah. So they would pay 2.5 mil.
Yeah.
So you'd be on the hook for 4.7.
4.7.
That's not
million.
Bad.
That's not horrible for a caliber player.
They can move money
like
around
him.
too.
Yeah. You know, I have always been a Kareem Hunt. I love the kid. I think he's been a great player. I think he made his mistakes. He hasn't had any problems since. And he's back in the town that caused him the problems. If I had my choice, I would almost go with Kareem Hunt. And the only reason I say that is because he knows Mahomes so well, and he's such a gifted running back. I'm not saying Barkley's not, but I think just with his system knowledge and the fact that everybody just loves him, I would love to see him back. Now, will Clark Hunt bring him back? That remains to be seen. But again, I said this months ago on the show. There was 2 players that were going to leave that team, and it was going to be Jarvis Landry and it was going to be Kareem Hunt. And now both of them are leaving that team. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be, I mean, Cleveland, they got to make a decision. And I think their decision all lies within their quarterback because they're losing players left and right because of him. And it's that simple. And it's not the fact that he's just, he's had a rough year or whatever the case is. It's his mindset and the way he plays the game between his arrogance, his ego, and the way he treats people and the way he doesn't allow. I mean, he looks at a wide open OBJ and doesn't throw to him. I mean, OBJ, I looked at some of their film and I'm thinking, okay, he's got 27 yards of separation. He's standing out there with his arms like this, and Baker throws a check down. When you could see Baker look directly at OBJ and throws a check down. Why would you do that? It makes no sense. If you've got the arm, why not put it out there? That's all. What's your question?
No, I hear what you're saying, man. This is kind of a thought. If all these players are leaving, when's Myles Garrett going to leave? Because he seems to be the only constant they have in Cleveland. And it's kind of like at this point, could the Chiefs make a trade for him? I know it's kind of but I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, if it's getting that bad, I mean, he might be one. He might be the next guy that something. He happens.
Might be.
If they think about because if they're having issues and they want to just restart and blow up the team, because you guys like Kareem Hunt leaving, you have guys leaving such as Jarvis Landry. They're gonna have to cut or trade him because remember his cap is like $14 million.
Yeah,
how much he's gonna get. So I mean, they're gonna have to figure out something. Because they're going to get to a point where you can have players like Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb be like, well, I mean, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going to find somewhere else to be. You have to trade me. Because they can't – there's as much talent they have. They should not be playing as they've been playing. They have so much talent.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
That's the thing that sucks. I mean, the bones of that team are so good, but they just don't really have like I don't know.
A true leader?
And I used to not buy the Baker stuff because I kind of like Baker. I kind of like his personality. But I mean, dude, you see this happen not one time, not 2 times, not 3 times. It's like, eventually you kind of have to realize what's going on. And I agree with you, JP.
I read that sucker the day he threatened a 71-year-old man that he was going to kick his ass. That was the day that I thought, okay, there's something wrong with this guy. And then when he tells another player, if he doesn't like our system, that he can take his ass back to Texas, that was his second mouthing off. And then it was another situation, and it was another situation. And then I guess last year, it seemed like he kind of mellowed out to some degree. This year, he started off playing us, or this past season, started off playing us very well. And then his ego took over because of fear. And when he got injured, instead of letting a backup come in and at least not only just save his arm, but maybe save some of their season, his ego and his fear of losing his job took over. And when that happens, it's like, look, nobody needs another Johnny Manziel. Nobody needs another Joe Flacco. I mean, you need people out there that are willing to help contribute when they can. And some of their contributions may be sitting on the bench while they're healing. That could be a huge contribution to a team. And all he did was hurt that team by continuing to play. And he shouldn't.
That falls on the coaching staff, though. They should shut him down too.
Yeah, they should.
That kind of falls on the coaching staff.
You're exactly right. They should have said, you know what? Sorry, I don't. You may want to play, but it's over. You need to you need to sit and heal and get your surgery done. Yeah. And then next year, because look, how many times have we seen quarterbacks get that same labrum surgery and then come back and their arm is not great the next year, or they lose motion, or they lose strength, accuracy. It's so many things that can happen, and you've got to build that back up. So by him waiting all year long to get that done, this could really hamper next season for him.
Yeah, that is true.
He could already be basically done with his rehab.
Yeah,
right now.
Exactly.
That's true, Charles. That is very true.
Yeah, and his ego wouldn't allow him to do it in his fear. And when you're scared, look, when you're scared you're going to lose your job to a backup quarterback, it's time to reevaluate your mindset. And that's really what it all boils down to. I've talked to a couple people in Cleveland. As you know, I got a cousin that's out there, and they've all said the same thing, that it was fear. That it was fear that he was going to lose his job.
What's the backup anyway?
I don't even know. And I don't even think he was that great, to be honest with you.
I mean, honestly, at this point, if you're going to have a player such as Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, you might as well just do a run first offense.
Yeah. I mean, which they kind of did anyway. They ran a lot, with
they're
those
just
two guys.
ineffective at times. It's like you put all these money, you get all these players, and nothing. I don't even know, man. Like, I understand that why they traded for OBJ, but it's kind of like you didn't need to trade for OBJ.
No,
if that makes sense.
No,
that was more of a splash move by Dorsey to prove a point. And see, I can get people.
Yeah,
that's
all it was. That's
all
exactly
it was.
what
it
that
just
was.
basically caused problems for everyone because I think Baker's a quarterback. I think just expectations kind of give to OBJ and think doing anything with OBJ, even kind of with the NFL in general, they're going to put a magnifying glass on that situation. So yeah, Baker missed him. I mean, that's the truth. But look at the offense; they're not really a pass first. Really, they're going to run the ball.
But they had the weapons for it, though. That's the problem. Why would you?
But yeah, and that's the issue. It's like two different schemes are kind of contrasting with each other. That's not how it should be.
It's just like a conflict of interest. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Caleb. Look, Dorsey got a lot of flack when he left Kansas City about not only the way he signed people, but the way he didn't stagger contracts, the people that he brought in, the people he signed prior to other people. The list goes on. People that he missed on, people that he didn't want to sign that we ended up signing anyway, that turned out to be superstars, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, guys like that. So he wanted to prove a point. That's really kind of what he wanted to do. He wanted to prove a point that he could be just as good as Brett Veach and bring in some big name player. And all it did was cause a great big ego fest in that locker room.
Well, and if Veach was able to get OBJ, I can understand because we're going to be a pass first team.
Exactly.
Browns just really aren't that. I understand like what they were trying to do beforehand. If you have Nick Chubb, you're going to run the ball, but it's kind of like they were trying to make something that really wasn't there. You're having a pass offense mixed with a run game, and it's not really meshing.
You have to have balance, but you also have to have an identity. And
and
they didn't have an identity.
One.
Yeah, they had no identity. So it's just one of those things to where, it's going to be a problem with them moving forward, and they're going to have to figure out what to do with Baker. I mean, I heard stories, a few months ago that, and it still may ring true, that they may not bring him back next year. I don't know if they will or won't, but if they don't, I don't blame them. He may be that Washington candidate, if you really want to know my opinion on it. So that's just my opinion. He could be that candidate for Washington.
That wouldn't be shocking. It's almost like they got too talented too quick.
Yeah.
Because two years in a row, they're 0-16 and 1-15, back-to-back number one overall picks. All of a sudden you have Myles Garrett, you have Nick Chubb, you have Baker Mayfield, and then
OBJ.
Kareem Hunt. You're 7-9, and then the next year you're 10-6, and you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's like there's no real learning curve there for the front office or the coaching staff or anybody to figure out okay, how do we maintain a competitive team? They're just learning on the fly, and it's not working out very well.
Yeah, exactly. How do you grow into the future when you're all you're banking on is the now?
Exactly.
And that's the problem is you can't. Your future is never going to. How should I word this? Your future is what you do now. How you build on your future is what you do now. And that's exactly what Veach is doing. And that's what most smart businessmen do. They build upon their future. You know, it's no different. And I said this before, than you're building a pipeline. And if you're in sales, you build a pipeline so you have sales when it's a slow time, when it's, you know, a rough economy, whatever the case may be. You build that pipeline for a 5-year deal to where you always got that residual coming in. Veach is doing the same thing. He's building a pipeline of players that when it's time for, God forbid, a Tyreek Hill to go, or a Chris Jones to go, or whoever it may be, we have people that can take their place and do the job. And these players are buying into that because they know that their time is coming. Yep. So if they're still getting some play time, but yet they are still fresh enough to be able to, in 3 years, be that starting guy. You pick a guy up at 21 years old, and by the time he's 23, he's a starter, or 24, he's a starter. He's still got another 7 years to play, and he's already getting paid. Veach is not that's how you do it when you want to build a championship team and you want to build a dynasty. You don't you don't pull the Rams, you don't pull the Cleveland Browns, you don't throw all your eggs in one basket with a bunch of big name players that are not going to be there the following year. I mean, the Rams have done it with coaching staffs and they've done it with players. And McVay is completely rebuilding his entire coaching staff this year. Now he's lost Aaron Donald. That's almost a given.
He's actually going to retire.
From what I heard, he's retiring. And if he doesn't retire, he may play for another team. Von Miller is absolutely looking into free agency because he has never been a free agent and he wants to see it. And he really,
Kansas City.
I heard he wants it, and he's always wanted to play here. He wants to play where his idol, the man that he idolized and mimicked his game after, started his career and ended his career. And that's Derek Thomas. And if he does that, even at his age, he is such an impactful player. You've seen what he did with the Rams when he was back on the field. The guy is a beast. He's still a beast. If we signed him on a 2-year deal with an option, oh my God, what we would have out there.
Hey, there'd be good stuff there.
God.
Yeah, that would be pretty nasty.
Would that not be just sick? I mean,
if we get a couple other players too, that'd be awesome.
Oh man,
because I said this thing at the Super Bowl. The Chiefs need to get a defensive line like the Rams, where they can get pressure, stack once, do what they need to do. Because you can't be Sack Nation and be 29 in sacks now. You can't be Sack Nation.
No,
so
you're not.
No,
you're not Sack Nation at 20, ranked 28th. You're just not. So we had 28 sacks all year. Or they
go ahead, Charles.
Part of that is because we played Chris Jones out of position for 7 games for whatever reason. That was ridiculous.
100%.
That's we all agree there.
Yes.
I was gonna hit on Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald signed through 2024 and they just started renegotiating his deal today. So I think he'll be back with the Rams.
If he comes back, that's pretty amazing. I mean, because he was pretty adamant about spending time with his kids. But
I was gonna make the comment earlier though, when you were talking about Josh Gordon.
Yeah.
Different talent level between him and Aaron Donald, but people talking about Josh Gordon being too old at 30. Aaron Donald is older than Josh Gordon. He's like a month and a half older than Josh Gordon. And he just won the Super Bowl almost single-handedly.
Exactly. And look, Von Miller, I think he's 29 or 30, maybe older.
Yeah, I think he might be 31 or 32.
Yeah, I think he's 32. So, and he's still playing at an elite level. Yeah, he's playing at an elite level. So, age is a number. It's a number when you're in the shape that these guys are in and with the mentality that they're in and the talent level they have. I mean, when you got guys out there look at what's his name? Adrian Peterson, 36 years old and still out there freaking running the ball. So when you can run the rock at 36, you're doing something right. You know, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. I know Veach likes to go after younger players, and that's fantastic. We need the younger players for our future, but having a couple of veterans,
you got to.
You have to have those guys like a Tyrann Mathieu, which I hope and pray he stays. And you need to have a guy like a Von Miller. And, even honest to God, as strange as this is going to sound, a Calais Campbell wouldn't hurt my feelings. The guy is still, what is he, 6'8", 6'9", looks like he's 7'3". The guy is a beast on the field, and he's still playing at a very high level. As a rotational piece, he would do very well. And if he wants to play another couple of years, why not bring him in, not only for a player from a player perspective or playing perspective, but for a leadership perspective? That's just my opinion. You keep
especially if we don't bring back Tyrann Mathieu.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. And you know what, guys? Before we go on to the next topic, the one thing that I want to say to everybody that listens to this show, because we get a lot of tweets about articles that are put out and a lot of flack that, people want to give certain, people about their articles and players that they may want to come back. You have to think about it from a different perspective. It's not a matter of age. It's not a matter of anything other than the fact that these guys they're in the NFL for a reason. They may not fit within one system, but they will fit within somebody's system. That's somebody true. Can coach those guys up and make them who they should be. And when I look at like a Josh Gordon, I see a guy that really didn't make a ton of mistakes. He made some were very petty. And now that mistake is not even tested in the NFL anymore. As far as the PEDs he was supposed to be taking that everybody made a big deal about, it was GNC stuff. He wasn't shooting steroids. I took GNC stuff for 30 years. And let me tell you something. There are things in some of that stuff like Nano X9 and Vapor that get you so jacked up that you want to bench press a Buick. And I've done it. I know what it makes you feel like. It's a different feeling. I mean, as soon as you slam I'm at my weight, I was taking nine of the nano pills and I was drinking a Vapor 45 minutes before a workout. And I will tell you what, there was nothing like it. Nothing like it. And the crazy thing is you could take an Advil cold and sinus and get caught for PEDs. That's the insane part about it. So everybody that wants to out there, he was taking horse tests. No, he wasn't. He was taking freaking GNC shit that most people take. It's a vitamin supplement that they add things to make you stronger. It is what it is. I mean, you got to think it from a different perspective. We have players on our team that, and on our futures deals, Omar Bayless, a great pickup. Caleb told me about him. Yep. And when I looked at his tape, I thought, oh God, but that just happened to be the year that Veach went all defense, if you remember right. So now full circle again with Veach. He's back on our contract, back on our team on a futures deal. I think he's going to make it. I think he has the talent to make our team.
Oh, you bring him in to see what he can do. Yeah.
Yeah. And people forget we still have Cornell Powell sitting there that worked all season to learn the playbook. Mm-hmm. That's something that everybody has to realize. Josh Gordon had no time to learn anything. As intelligent as he is, even Jason Dunn came in, him and I have been talking about this back and forth. He agreed 100%. You cannot bring a guy in week 7, week 8, and expect him to understand everything that goes on within our offense, especially our offense as complex as it is. If anybody assumes that, you're out of your mind, because Tyreek Hill couldn't do it. Nobody that signed with us learned our offense with Andy Reid in their first year. Most of them, it took 2 years. It takes a lot to learn it. And there's been guys that have been cut because they couldn't learn it. So after 4 years of trying, gone. So, Chris Conley, Albert Wilson, guys like that shined under Mahomes, but when they went somewhere else, they failed. So I can't say failed, but they were average or below average compared to what they did.
They weren't the same.
They were not the same.
Yeah, it took bigger paydays with worse teams, and it just
Exactly.
didn't work out.
Exactly. It's all
Yeah.
about coaching, and it's all about scheme, and it's all about the way these plays are designed and how much football IQ you have. And Josh Gordon has a ton of football IQ. He's an extremely intelligent guy. So I would, everybody out there that's bashing him, give him an off season. Just see what he can do before you sit there and actually hashtag him and tag his name on Twitter and say he's trash, that he's washed up, that he's too old. That's just, he's not too old. Age is a number. There's too many players out there. What's that guy, that offensive lineman for the Rams?
Whitworth.
Whitworth.
Yeah, Whitworth.
The dude's like 49 years old. I don't know how old he is, but he looks like he looks like this guy that should be sitting on a porch with a straw hat on, sipping coffee with his wife, and he's out there beating the shit out of people. So
he looks more like an offensive line coach than an actual NFL offensive lineman.
That is true.
Exactly.
That is true.
You gotta look at it from a different perspective, because he still played at a very high level this year. And look at his age. I mean, he was, after Brady retired, the oldest player in the NFL. He was second to Brady. So we got to look at it from a different perspective.
16 years, I think, in the league. He's been
17 now.
Yeah. He came in. He's 40 years. He'll turn 41 before next season.
Exactly. And I don't know if he's staying. I don't know what his plans are. He said he'd like to play again.
Hell, I'd retire if I was him.
Yeah,
I would too. But
retire too.
I mean, if the guy wants to play it, he's still got it. Whatever.
That's
true. Yeah. You can't really I can say that, but I mean, that guy's competitive drive is beyond anything I could ever imagine. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's like Aaron Donald. It's like, those guys, they got a competitive drive in them. And Aaron Donald is built like a brick shithouse. That guy does not look like 284 pounds.
He is strong.
God, he's strong.
Well, the fact that he dominates like that, interior on the defensive line, weighing 280.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big guy to everyone in the world except for NFL players.
Exactly.
Like that arm tackle. I don't want to get too deep down, but that arm tackle on Pirine on third down before he had the sack or the pressure on Burrow on fourth down. One arm tackle for a loss on a 245-pound running back.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And think about who he's going up against. Offensive linemen are so damn big.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about some of these guys that weigh between 330 and 380, 390.
Yes. Yeah, they're huge.
They're
huge. Like 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
He's 6 feet tall.
Yeah. And he
still gets separation.
He still gets separation. It's crazy to me that he's as good as he is.
Yeah.
It's insane. He's, in my opinion, the best. As much as this hurts me to say, he's the best I've ever seen play the game in that position.
He's definitely the best defensive tackle of all time.
Of all time, the best defensive tackle of all time.
Like he's approaching best defensive player of all time with his resume.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, 8 years in the league.
He's doing something.
8 years in the league, rookie of the year his first year, 7-time first team All-Pro, and 3-time defensive player of the year.
And he's been to the Pro Bowl every year he's been in the league.
Every year. He's been All-Pro or defensive rookie of the year every year.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
How can anybody deny how talented that man is and how much drive and determination he has? I mean, nobody can deny that.
You know what I love about this time of the year too? All these prognosticators talking about who's going to be good, who's going to be bad for kids who are coming up in the draft. People were doubting Aaron Donald coming out of Pitt.
Yep.
He's undersized. He's not going to pan out in the league.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's see what does. He did
I love when they do that. I love when they do that. I really do.
The two best D tackles in the NFL, Aaron Donald and Chris Jones. Aaron Donald, people doubted him out of Pitt. Chris Jones was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's a gamble, like we've always said. You're putting out whether it be free agency or it be the draft, it's a gamble. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what hand you're getting dealt. But if you're good enough and you're smart enough, you will get the better hand eventually. And so far, I mean, we've had three or four misses in 4 years. 2 misses his first 3 years. I'm not going to complain about Vitor Andy and what they've been doing. There's just no complaints. Oh, really quick before we get into our last segment, which is the combine. Let's get into this situation with Matt Nagy because I want to get this out. Everybody, I said this actually on Twitter, but everybody else decided to pick up on it afterwards, especially the guy that wrote the ignorant article, but which really put us in a PR nightmare. But his senior assistant / quarterbacks coach title is a title. He is the assistant head coach. That's what he is. He's actually above in real life. He's got more pull than everybody on the offensive side of the ball and really kind of defensive side of the ball other than Andy. So if anybody wants to know the truth, that's what his job, he has a job title, but his title doesn't depict what he actually is. So I don't know how next year is going to go with an ego and with, it may clash. It may not. I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't, but they did work together prior. So maybe it'll work out. I know that it's going to be hard for Bieniemy, but I know that right now, Mahomes was the first one to say it. He had to take it down because it hadn't happened yet. Because that was when the transition was going to happen before the article came out. And now we have both of them. So now Mahomes is excited as can be. Kelsey's as excited as can be. Tyreek is very happy. Everybody's happy that Nagy's back because he's really good. He brought the best. Put it like this. Let's put it in a structure like this. If he can bring the best out of Alex Smith, especially that last season that Alex Smith had the fewest interceptions of anybody in the league that year, and then also his best statistical year ever under Nagy. Can you imagine what he can do with Mahomes and that talent? Oh my God.
Pretty good. That'd be pretty nice, not gonna lie.
Because look, everybody can say what they want about
the MVP front runner at mid-season that year.
Yeah, and he didn't even get voted to the Pro Bowl. But which pissed me off. But here's the thing. Everybody's saying, well, he didn't do shit for Trubinsky. Trubinsky is a 10th of the quarterback Mahomes was. I'm sorry. You could say what you want, but he was nowhere near
way too high.
Way too high.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like, it's like, it makes no sense. Every year there's a quarterback that the people talk about, and all of a sudden, they're considered top 10 pick, and you're like, this guy is not worth it. Like, can he play? Yes, but he shouldn't have been drafted. He shouldn't have been drafted to them.
Well,
he should have been more. He would have been better in a situation where he had like an Andy like coach bring him up along instead of just making him be the starter right away. I mean, that hurt the.
Yeah. That was just organizational incompetence by Chicago. They trade up one spot, trade a first-round pick to trade up one spot when San Fran wasn't going to take him anyway.
Yeah.
And take him number 2 overall.
Yeah. What an insane move. That's like comparing.
With Watson and Mahomes on the board.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, think about it. The two, and really, when you think about it, those are the two best quarterbacks other than Aaron Rodgers in the league is Mahomes and Watson. Okay.
And I still, go ahead.
I'm just saying it's comparing. If you compare Trubinsky to Mahomes, that is Mahomes being a Bitcoin and Trubinsky being a Dogecoin. There is the difference. So
I love that.
So that's just how it is. And one's worth 67,000 a piece, and the other one's worth about 13 cents. So you got to figure it.
Come on.
I'm not saying he doesn't have talent because he got in the league, but he's no Mahomes and he's no Watson.
No Mahomes. And I still don't understand how Deshaun Watson was not the first quarterback to be taken off the board. Like, seriously.
Yeah, that was
Mahomes,
insane.
I understand. But Watson was like, come on now, guys. Like, really?
I didn't really understand Mahomes. Why? Because he didn't win the national championship? That was why I've already passed on him, because he didn't win a national championship. How stupid do they all feel now?
I mean, too many times we see a quarterback who wins the national championship drafted first overall, and Deshaun wasn't even thought about. It just made no sense to me at the time. But I mean, it is what it is.
Hey, and by the way, with Deshaun Watson, the one thing I will say, I got trashed for this when I said it, when all this came out about him, but I will say it again. He is not backing down. He is not giving up. He's not paying anybody off. And no criminal charges have been brought against him yet. This has been going on.
That's the NFL then. That's the NFL to figure out what they're going to do.
Well, here's the thing. Think about it from a different perspective. The attorney lived next door, basically, to the owner and is best friends with him. And Deshaun asked twice for a trade. The third time he demanded it and said he would sit out. And 4 days later, that came out. The first woman, then the second, then the third, then then the 22nd. But he has not settled with one person. And there's never been a criminal case brought up against him because there's not enough evidence and nobody can produce it. There's no video. There's no nothing. Because if there was, it had already been. It sounds like
the NFL should just step in and figure out what they're going to do, because
the NFL needs to step in and just let his ass play.
You guys remember those old timey cartoons where like a rich dude in a tuxedo with a mustache has a girl like tied up and she's laying on the train tracks and a train coming around the corner and so on.
Yeah.
That Deshaun Watson is the girl on the train tracks.
Exactly.
Right
100%. 1000%.
He's getting hosed by Texas oil billionaires.
It's exactly what's happening.
Now,
he's getting railroaded by the oil, the train that carries the oil. That's what's happening right now.
Yep.
And like I said, those owners aren't good at all, too. And that's one thing people saying for a long time, that ownership. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, the NFL, I bet they're going to send him pretty quickly.
He needs to play this year. There's too many teams out there that need a good quarterback.
Yeah. Full disclaimer. If he actually is like a creep who does that stuff in massage parlors, I retract all statements. But exactly. I mean, I'm
the same way.
That would have to be
proven,
already being like criminally prosecuted, not just civil suits.
Yeah, it would have to be. I would have to see, somebody would have to have a video, and somebody would have a real video and not one that's spliced, and which hasn't come out. And this would have to be an ironclad case right now for me to say anything different. If it does come out and he is that person, I retract every bit of it. But so far, I believed it then, and I really believe it now. I don't think he did any of this stuff.
It just seems like a character assassination.
It's exactly what it seems like. And the sad part is he's the one that's going to, Tyreek's lived with this child beating bullshit for the last 4 years. So
every time something happens, his name gets dragging. You're like, guys, come on. Obviously,
come on, man. I mean,
proven. So
when you drag somebody's name through the mud, Tyreek would have been the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL when he got that first contract, if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is true.
Simple. So
he would have made some good money.
Made some damn good money. Now Deshaun Watson's going to have to go through that same thing. When he comes back in the league, because of what's happened to him, he's going to be one of the lowest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's one of the best. He's top 3 in my opinion. So I think it's just insane. But, people do a lot of shit with arrogance, money, and stupidity. And this was, in my opinion, kind of stupid if they don't have any real proof. And in Texas, they would have nailed him in a heartbeat, dude. If any of this was true, he would already been sitting in a jail cell somewhere. So
it is white collar crime always wins.
Yep. Always. So anyway, let's move on to this combine. Charles, get into it, brother. You and Caleb.
All right.
Combine gurus. By the way, everybody, these guys have put in a ton of work looking at the draft. They know it. They breathe it. I don't. So take it away.
Yeah. So, I mean, the wide receivers were running this afternoon and tonight. So I don't have all the guys that we covered, Caleb, on our list and we've kind of been looking at. I don't have all of their measurables. But I did notice several guys who I think kind of jumped up some radars today. Smaller school guys, maybe some more I guess, not like your Jameson Williams. Schools. Yeah, your non-power 5 guys. Schools. Right, yeah. So there's a kid named Bo Melton, who's a wide receiver from Rutgers.
Okay.
speedy guy. He really turned some heads this afternoon. Both of his 40s, he was sub 4.4. So pretty good speed shown there. A guy that you had put on the list, Caleb, Sky Moore from Western Michigan, ran a 4.3940. Daniel Jeremiah, who's pretty plugged into this draft stuff, said that he would be shocked now if he gets out of the second round, which he was pegged as like a third, fourth, fifth round kind of guy coming into the combine. So really helped himself out. And there was another guy from Memphis, Calvin Austin, who ran a 4.32, just blazed in the 40 today. I would say, maybe on the Chiefs' radar, but he's a 5'9" kind of slot guy.
Yeah.
Speedy 5'9" slot guy. We already have two of those with Tyreek and Mecole. I don't necessarily see us kind of, really honing in on him unless we just have a type, Yeah,
exactly.
But one guy that I noticed today that kind of hurt himself a little bit. Everyone's been talking about how Treylon Burks from Arkansas is going to be a top 20 pick. But the big knock on him so far has been his explosiveness. So he's a big, like 6'4", 225-pound receiver. And when he gets moving downhill, he can really move. Like he can burn when he gets ahead of steam. But kind of getting that first jolt, he's not the best. Ran a 4.5 today. So that's not great.
Not the best.
This wide receiver crop 40 time wise was the best they've had come through the combine. Mm-hmm. So he had guys running 4.26, 4.29, 4.3,
4.21,
4.2. Yeah,
got broken today. Yep.
Yeah, guys were just burning today. Burks shows up, runs a 4.5. Doesn't look great. 33-inch vertical, not bad, but for a guy like that, you kind of want to see that explosion vertically for him to go up in high point balls, specifically for a big wide receiver. You're really looking for that guy to kind of have those, back corner fade kind of abilities and go up and, win jump ball scenarios like a Keenan Allen, like a Mike Williams for San Diego, Julio when he was younger. You want to see those big receivers be able to do that. Didn't really impress there. And then only 10.2 in the broad jump. So, I mean, I think the broad jump is the least translatable exercise they do at the combine for like actual play on the football field.
Yeah.
But it is a good metric for explosion. Like, their hip explosion is kind of getting out. It does show you a little bit there, not the most impressive number. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think with his size, here's what I'll say about the combine. The measurables are valuable, but to me, film means more than what they do at the combine. Yeah. The combine can help them, and if they have good film and they perform well, that'll jolt them up the draft boards. But if you look at a combine performance and this guy runs a 4.25 and he, his measurables are great, but you go and he can't really play the game of football, that's tough. Like if you have bad measurables, but you can actually play on film, you're going to be better off than the guy who has good measurables and doesn't really show that great on film.
And I think one thing, Charles, I've noticed there's a lot of players who kill the combine, but don't do well. Do well. And I think you got to look at a combination of both. Combine doesn't mean everything. A lot of guys are honestly a lot faster in game speed than running the 40-yard dash in the combine. Just that's point in case right there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you look at guys, historically, you look at guys like, who was the defensive end from Ohio State who just, Vernon Golston.
Yeah.
The Jets drafted him like number 2 overall, and I think 08 or 09. And killed it at the combine. People were like, oh man, this guy's a freak. He's not soft, but he was a finesse player just in a big body. Yeah. And you see that on film, but you don't see that at the combine. So, I think, take it for what it's worth coming from me, but you got to take these a little bit with a grain of salt. Yes. But I think what I really kind of wanted to look at was and I didn't get everybody again because I didn't see the times at the end of the day, but 3 guys from the list of receivers that we put together, Caleb, on our kind of like our draft sheet that we have, Danny Gray from SMU, 4.33 40, 34-inch vertical, and 10.6 broad jump. So he showed up pretty well today. Dontario Drummond from Ole Miss, conversely, did not. Ran a 4.6 40, 34-inch vert, which is pretty good. But again, 10.2 broad jump. And then Justin Ross from Clemson had not run his 40 yet when I looked at all these, but 11 bench reps. Kind of disappointed with that.
Yeah.
For a slot receiver who is going to see a lot of like outside linebacker and strong safety coverage in the league, you would like to see a little bit more upper body strength from him. And I mean, I think that's something that like grown man strength is a real thing. Like that's a real thing. And as these guys get older, they're going to naturally become a little more like, whether they, max out on bench or rep 225 as many times as they can or not, they're going to get a little more, girthy up top. Exactly. But you'd like to see a little bit more. I mean, shit, DK Metcalf did like 29, I think, bench reps a couple of years ago.
Metcalf's a crazy receiver. I mean, he could do many different things.
He's a freak, so you can't compare him. You can't compare that. But another thing I saw that was fairly crazy. Another receiver. I mentioned this to you guys in the pre-show, but Northern Iowa guy, Isaiah Weston, fairly local to Kansas City, Northern Iowa, not too far away. 6'3", 214, 11-foot 3-inch broad jump, and a 4.3 940. Wow, that's moving for a guy that big.
That's good. Yeah, it is. That's pretty good.
So that's not too shabby at all. And then Desmond Ridder absolutely killed it.
Yes, Cincinnati Power 5.
Yeah, ran a 4.4 940 as a quarterback. The NFL Network did Mahomes dirty. They made so you know how they do these layovers of the players running their 40s. Mm-hmm. They did like Ridder, I think Lamar and Russell Wilson, and then Mahomes was the fourth one. Like, why do you put him? Why put the man in that category?
Mahomes has a Super Bowl ring. I mean, it don't matter. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And that's what it shows us right here. You can run a 4.5, 4.6 in the 40-yard dash, but have some speed, some decent speed like Mahomes, and do some stuff. I mean, you can see it happen in the game before. So I think like a
4.71 or you're right. It's 4.59. I looked at it today. It's 4.59.
Okay, so as a quarterback at a 4.59, that's not bad at all. But then when he does run, when you see him take off and he runs with intelligence. And he's able to find those lanes. And we've seen him pick up 20 yards. I think he had a 31-yard run at one time. I think this was past season. I think it was 31 yards, if I'm not mistaken. It may have been a little less, but sometimes it doesn't really matter when it comes to a quarterback. It really matters with agility and intelligence. A 4.59 is not bad at all for a quarterback. And I'm sure he's faster now than he was then. I mean, he's been working out. He's been doing a lot of different training and a lot of different things. I think he's probably faster than he was before. I mean, he seems to be pretty quick.
He's really good at conserving energy because he does that little fat guy trot every time he jogs.
Yeah.
It's smart.
Mahomes is he's tricking people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You always hear people say he walks like he's got something stuck up his butt. Okay, well, he doesn't run that way, so who cares?
Right. He damn sure doesn't throw that way.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't throw like that. So I mean,
that's what I was saying when they were showing the 40. I'm like, why don't you guys show the passing drills? How about that?
Yeah, let's see what Tom Brady's 40 was. I mean, the guy's got bricks for feet.
Yeah,
so could have been that.
I can find that.
Ben Roethlisberger was probably very, very slower than that.
Oh, he probably ran like an 8.3.
Brady ran a 5.28.
Yeah, so there you go.
So yeah,
and then Brady's got them big old clompers. So
yeah, the only other thing I had from combine notes, everybody was talking about Kenny Pickett's hand size today. His hands measured 8.5 inches, which, like, if people don't know what the hand measurement is, they measure from the tip of the pinky to the tip of the thumb, and it's supposed to be for quarterbacks a tell of how well you grip the football. People derive a lot of like, how's he going to play in rainy weather, stuff like that. Does it matter? Probably. But I mean, I looked up, so I went and grabbed a few, like Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson. I grabbed their hand sizes from the combine today. So you go 8.5 inches is what Kenny Pickett had. Mahomes only has 9-inch hands. Lamar Jackson, 9.5. That's 2 MVP trophies right there.
Yeah.
For guys who are 26 years old and under.
Yeah.
Herbert has 10-inch hands, pretty big. Josh Allen, 10 and 1/8. Aaron Rodgers, 10 and 1/8, and Russell Wilson, 10 and a quarter. So the biggest hand size on that list is a guy who is arguably the most washed up of the whole list. And we're going to go and say, oh, Kenny Pickett, ooh, is he going to be good? Is he going to be bad? Who knows? 8.5-inch hands. I don't know. Watch his film. He threw for like 5,000 yards last year and 50 touchdowns. I mean, he can play football. Like,
I wonder what Kyler Murray's hand size is.
I'll find that for you. That's a good question. I should have looked at it.
And I feel like also looking at that stat too, it's kind of like, yeah, but if the player can play, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. Kyler Murray, 9.5.
Okay, so if you get below, look, in football standards, I mean, if you get below, 8-inch hands, when you're gripping the football, I mean, if it's wet and you're gripping this thing, if you gotta think about it, an 8-inch hand or below 8-inch, your fingers are gonna be similar to this, if you can see that.
Yeah.
So
See that.
you want to be able to get your hand to where your thumb, it's how they normally measure it, is if your pinky is covering completely one stitch, and your thumb is halfway from the tip of the ball down the football, similar to like mine is right now, then you've got a good grip. You're able to hold onto the ball and launch it. And, of course, a lot of guys, they will move their hand way up towards the top where their number one finger is almost at the point of the football or the tip of the football, which is okay to do, but you get more loft with that, but you don't get the distance. Where if you use your wrist more and you've got your hand down a little bit further and you're able to grip the middle of the football and your thumb is halfway between on the next row and your pinky is covering that white thread, you're going to be able to grip and throw a football in ways that most people can't if you have talent with a football and throwing a football. So that's something that, you get below 8 inches, then you got a problem. I think Doug Flutie had really weirdly, strangely bigger hands for somebody his size. And I think that was why he was able to throw the football as well as he did. He was only like, 5'7", 5'8".
Yeah,
he was the
small quarterback,
very small quarterback. But he was able, and he would jump a lot. He'd jump just to get over the lineman to see where he was throwing to. That's why when he got sacked, he was always 24 yards back because he had to get that far back to find where his wide receivers were.
Yep.
He just couldn't see. So, but that's something you got to think about. I mean, 8.5-inch, I don't think that's too small. I mean, I've never really measured my hand that I can remember, but I'm able to grip a football, an NFL football.
Well, I see. If you can, as long as you can throw well, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
As long as you can throw well. It doesn't matter. Okay, you have small hand size. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
and I think a lot of the hand size conversation comes from like JP, you mentioned something that I think was interesting because you look at like 90s specifically, like guys like Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Brett Favre, all that era of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Those guys were you always saw them with their index finger as far back on the ball as possible.
Yep.
Because it's a different game. You're throwing the ball downfield, but now the reason that people, focus in on that now is because the velocity these guys have to throw the ball with because everything's short, bang, bang, bang. Like the spread offense is all about timing and getting it out quick.
Yep.
So these guys have to have a lot of velocity on the ball and whip it. So the thought behind small hands is like, well, if you're throwing the ball that hard, you have that much arm action. Is it going to slip? Is it going to be inaccurate?
Exactly.
Right. But at the same time, they're not holding it the same way those old guys did. They're holding it closer to the core of that ball where they can manipulate it a little bit more and kind of get more zip on it. Like, I think the last time I was on was after Bengals game, maybe. But
think so,
JP,
yeah.
you were talking about how Mahomes is throwing curveballs with footballs.
Which
That's
does,
why, because these
Yeah.
guys they have more control of it because they're holding it differently.
Exactly.
It's just a different coaching style, and the spread
It
offense
is.
has really kind of made that
over.
a thing. But
Yeah.
funny you mentioned not measuring your own hands. I measured my hands today in preparation for this. So Patrick Mahomes 9 inches, Lamar Jackson 9.5, Justin Herbert 10, Josh Allen 10 and 1/8, Aaron Rodgers 10 and 1/8, Charles Robinson 10 and 1/8 inch hands. So
Okay.
yeah,
Charles got to get you out there.
Yeah, got some elite hand size. So I would test well in that measurable in the combine. That's about it. I think I told you guys earlier I got a 31 on that mock Wonderlic too. So that would put me like right in the middle of the pack. So nothing spectacular.
Well, I know this. When I met Tony for the first time, Tony Gonzalez, I shook his hand and I felt like a 3-year-old.
Mhm.
And I'm not kidding you. His freaking hands are so big. I mean, when he palmed the basketball, his hand was halfway around the basketball. And
yeah, his hand looks like Shaq's.
It's insane how big it is. And Donnie Edwards was another one that had monstrous hands. I guarantee you Tony Gonzalez has probably he has to have 11-inch hands. He has to.
I bet.
It was insane.
I shook hands with Gronk one time, and it was the same thing. It's like his fingers were like right here on my arm. I'm like, dude, I'm not a small guy, and you just like ate me. Like, he's huge.
Crazy,
I bet he is.
I was like, I told him too. I said, Jesus, man. He goes, what? And I said, you just basically swallowed my hand with yours. And he started laughing. And I said, what do you got? Like, you got extra bones in your fingers or something? I mean, what's going on with you? And he started laughing. And then Donnie Edwards shook my hand. And I said, you ain't no better. I said, you make me feel like a little kid, but Donnie was, he had some giant hands too, but it was weird too. Neil Smith had smaller hands. It was kind of crazy. His hands weren't giant. I mean, it was like, I guess for the size that he was, you'd think his hands were a lot bigger. Derek had some big ass hands.
I was going to say, I bet DT had some paws.
Oh, he had, man. I mean, the first time, I used to be a big guy. I worked out a lot. And the first time I shook his hand, I thought, man, he's got some grip. And I told him, I said, you got pretty good grip. And he goes, yeah, they all call me lazy. I don't work out. And I said, you got some grip. And he goes, how do you think I get around these people? And I said, I've watched you, man. I know your technique. And
yeah, you're one of the biggest physical freaks of all time.
Yeah. And for a guy that hated the gym and hated to, just didn't want to work out. People called him lazy. It wasn't that. He didn't need to. I mean, he told me that it actually slowed his game down in college. So when he was with Alabama, I asked him and I said, how come, you never work out? And I almost felt weird asking him, but I said, how come you never want to work out with these guys? He goes, why? You think I should? And I went, or no, he goes, why do you think I need to? And then I knew that was coming. So I felt bad. And I said, no, not at all. I said, but as great as you are, do you think it would help your game at all? And he goes, no, I tried it in college. And he goes, I did it, because the coaches made me. And he said, what I noticed was on Saturday, I was stiff. And he goes, I didn't play as well. And even though I still outplayed a lot of the guys, in college, he goes, I just didn't play as well. And he said, I noticed that, when I first got in the NFL, I was working out 4 days a week. And then come Sunday, I was just stiff. I didn't have the arm movements. And with Derek, it was all about technique. Was he strong? Hell yes, he was strong. He was gifted. He was just naturally strong. But his whole mindset was technique, arm movements and technique. And that's why he was able to get around the people that he got around and pissed off so many people, because he was so good at getting around people just from his movements. And like I told Caleb, the dude would do it. Like he'd reach over to get a drink off the table and we'd be sitting there and he'd be doing all these crazy hand movements and then grab his glass. And one day I asked him, I said, what do you got, Tourette's? And he goes, no, I'm practicing my hand movements. And he would do it going into
practice technique. Well,
technique it was crazy. And he just laughed at me. He goes, no, I'm practicing my technique. And I said, oh.
Because DT, you look at the stuff, he was really good. And I could understand that. And maybe there could have been different exercises he could have done to help refine his game. But yeah, if he's getting stiff, I mean, there's really no point to.
No.
Because I can see that doing that after a while. So
we worked out a couple days a week, but he didn't work out with all the heaviest weights.
nothing crazy. Yeah.
Nothing insane.
He did some small stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he did a lot of cardio and maintained. He kept up the same strength that he always had, and he did get stronger as he got a little older, but he didn't want to spend all those hours in the gym because he felt like it hurt his game. And I understood. I mean, we'd be at the facility and he would say, what do you mean? I'm going to run on the treadmill for like 30 minutes.
Go get some food.
And then we'd end up at Dixon's Chili. So
he's like, JP's like, I want to get some instead.
Yeah, it's like, okay, go ahead, man. If you want to go down there and eat, and he would eat it. Believe me, he ate it. He did not. He loved Dixon's Chili. That was our place to go to.
So it sound like DT. I'm like, it shows you got practice, and he always like you said, man. Like you said, it made him stiff, and that makes sense because certain things when you have to practice, when you go that hard in long periods of time, I guess the body's not used to it. It's not really going to work with you. Now, some maybe like Aaron Donald, it's going to help because he's small. So he's going to have to be stronger.
Yeah.
But like DT, like everyone's different when it comes to football. So different positions, especially different players.
I spent, 30 years of my life in a gym. And I know that, and I worked out 7 days a week, cardio in the morning, 2 hours of workout, weights at night. And, there was days that I woke up and I felt really stiff. But when I really noticed it was when I started playing golf. It was a weird thing, but when I started playing golf, I used muscles that I never used before. And it was so weird because I was so sore after 18 rounds. And I thought, man, I work out all the time. I run, I lift, I do all these crazy workouts that most people don't do. Mm-hmm. But this hurt my ass. I'm sore for 3 days. But then I asked a guy one day. I just asked a guy and he said, you're using muscles you don't even think about using when you're in a gym, when you're swinging a golf club. And it's true, you don't. So, I don't know.
So much your core and your hips and all that. And
man. It was crazy. I mean, I sucked at golf left-handed. I was terrible. And
I don't even want to try golf. I do not even want to try.
Dude, I suck
at golf, like regardless. So.
I don't even want to play. I already know it's going to be bad. I'm going to be pissed. I'm not even going to bother.
I love playing it because all my friends are shitty too. So it's like, you can rekindle those competitive juices if everybody's bad. Now, if you have one good player in there and it's like everybody's shooting like, 90 plus and one guy's shooting like 75, it's like, okay, whatever, dude. Like,
cool. I saw I heard someone was telling me something. They were golfing with their friends. And one guy hit the ball off the tee, and he thought it went down the fairway, but it went like 300 yards right into the woods. And the guy's like, I think it went down the tee. Like, nah, it didn't do that.
It happens.
Oh, dude, happens. Believe me, it happens. I played.
I can see that happening.
There was a course in Kansas City I played. I don't remember which one it was, but there was houses lying down the fairway on the right-hand side, and I teed off. Might have been Shoal Creek. I can't remember now, but there was houses lying.
That really, really nice one.
Nice.
I didn't know. So I think I know what you're talking about.
It might have been Shoal Creek.
Shoal Creek is like House Central.
Yeah, and
every hole
expensive. Those houses are expensive.
I drilled this house, dude. It came off the toe of my driver, and I mean straight right through a window. And I thought, I got to go over to these people's house and tell them I just shattered this giant window. And so I went into the clubhouse and I said, hey, I shattered a window over there. And he goes, that's okay. And I said, what do you mean it's okay? I'm going to go over there and tell them. And he goes, they bought the house and it's in their contract. If they blow out a window, if their house gets hit, it's on them.
Yeah, it's on their homeowners insurance.
Well, it was, but I bought the guy's window because, I completely just obliterated that window, and it was a terrible swing. I don't know what the hell happened. Usually with a driver, I can hit pretty straight. Because I switched to right-handed, and I got really actually pretty good. I was shooting mid to high 70s for a while, and I hit that window, man, and I heard the shatter, and I went, oh, shit. I actually ducked down and got in the cart. And then I thought, nah, I got to go tell somebody. And my buddy Terry that was with me, he said, man, I don't think I've ever seen a slice like that. He said, that thing went straight right. And I said, yeah. He said, there was no veer. I said, I don't know what the hell happened, dude. So we ended up going and telling him, and I told the guy, I said, how much was that window? Just get me an estimate. It was like $2,300 at the time for one window. And I paid it.
Much money.
Yeah. But, the guy goes, you don't have to pay for it. It's in my contract. I said, no, dude, that was my mistake. I shattered your window. I'm paying for it. I bet I've hit probably 30 cars in my life.
I've hit a handful.
Oh, yeah. I think we need to keep you from the golf course.
Hey, man.
I think we really do.
When I was left-handed, when I played left-handed, I was terrible, dude. And I didn't think I could ever switch. And I did. This clubhouse guy came out and he goes, I almost kill a guy. And he says, you're going to kill somebody. And I said, yeah, most likely.
You can't even go to a mini golf course, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. So he says, did you just buy those golf clubs? And I just bought these Lynx Predator clubs. And I thought I had the best, out there. And he says, I want you to play around right-handed. And I said, no way. I said, dude, I play baseball. Everything I do is left-handed. And I mean everything. And he goes, just try it. I've heard this a million times. I was shooting like 148. I was terrible. And it took like 40 strokes off the first game I played playing right-handed. And then it was
maybe I need to play left.
It was so weird, dude. I don't know what happened. And he said, it's because you're so used to swinging a baseball bat when you did play and you actually batted. He said, plus you're not putting that much power into the swing because you're not used to it. He said, once you get it down, you're going to be able to get the longer drives. And he wasn't wrong because, I had some drives here even, 320, 330. I was hitting, I had one that was 338. So, it's just weird how you can switch. I can't do anything else right-handed, nothing, but I can't play golf left-handed. I don't even know how to swing a golf club left-handed now. I've tried it. I look stupid, but right-handed I can play. I don't know. It's a weird thing, man.
I think that just shows us what players, man, just different techniques work for everybody.
It does. It really does.
Different for everyone.
Yeah. That's just a strange thing. Well, did you get anything out of the any players that you saw that you think the Chiefs might pick up, whether it be, I don't know who all's went through the combine in the last couple of days. Who started off?
So today is just quarterbacks, tight ends, and wide receivers. So I'm the next couple. I didn't pay as close of attention to the tight ends today, just because I haven't written tight end off, but with taking Noah Gray last year and having Fortson coming back, yeah. I'm kind of like that's kind of a bottom priority for me to kind of look at. Yeah. There was a kid out of let me see if I can find this name again. Trey McBride.
Yep.
From Colorado.
He's on the list, Charles.
Yeah, from Colorado State.
Yep.
Had a huge day, and not necessarily like in 40 and all that stuff, but his actual field drills where he was catching passes.
Yeah, he
was incredible.
Really,
so
really good.
A lot of noise for Trey McBride today.
Cool. Well, we got a lot more to talk about as the combine goes on, and as we're running into this free agency frenzy, and everything's just up in the air right now. But it looks like we're going to hang on to the majority of who we really need to hang on to. I'm really praying for Tyrann Mathieu. Right now, I don't know. We've got 11 more days, I think, to extend him. If I'm not mistaken, we got until the 16th.
I think
13th.
so. Yeah, 13.
It's the 13th?
16th. We got 13 days.
Yeah, we got 13 days left.
2 Wednesdays from now.
Yeah, so I'm hoping.
Is that when free agency starts?
Mm-hmm. That's the league year when the league year
starts.
Awesome.
Well, hey, we're going to see some moves in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Next couple
I
weeks
expect the rumor mill to heat up a little bit with some of these guys who are free agents right now. It's been pretty quiet so far.
Everybody talks at the combine. That's where the deals get done.
Yeah, the news is about to start dropping.
Well, and it's going to be funny because every player that is popped up for free agency, what we're going to see on Twitter. Oh my God, we got to sign him. There has not been a player in the last 4 years, 5 years that I can remember.
So true.
That we didn't need. If you go by Twitter, we'd have a 600-man roster, and everybody,
600-man roster.
yeah, and
And a $10
everybody
billion payroll.
and a $10 million, yeah. So
Billion.
yeah, it's amazing to me, but again, like we've reiterated numerous times, it's all about fit, it's all about scheme, and it's all about adaptability. And if they've got those three things, and of course football IQ, but if they've got those things, they're going to be able to, Veach is looking at everybody. He doesn't miss anyone. So just because he's not signing your favorite player doesn't mean, we need him or Veach screwed up, because as we've seen, he's dodged a ton of bullets over the last 2 years. So, and we actually put that out one day, and I said, well, maybe, it was over the JuJu thing and Melvin Ingram. I said, maybe he didn't, maybe, especially JuJu, I said, maybe he didn't miss. Maybe he dodged a bullet. He dodged a bullet because JuJu did nothing for the entire season. So, I put my faith in that guy and Andy, and I think we're doing the right thing with Nagy, and he did the right thing by Mahomes, I think. And in reality, he did the right thing with the PR nightmare that we had. He did the right thing by Bieniemy. So regardless of how you look at it and how you want to see it, it is what it is. We're going to have a better football team next year, and we're just going to continue to grow. So
yep.
Nagy's just a huge help. I mean, he really is. And the players that we've got on futures, I think we've got 11, if I'm not mistaken, 9 to 11 players on futures. I can't remember right now, but I can probably imagine 3 or 4 of those may get, signed. We'll just have to see. I really pray and hope that Josh gets in. I want to see Omar Bayless get in for sure. We've got some guys sitting there that can be some serious attributes and our future. So we just got to look at the long haul of this, because our window is nowhere near closed. I still feel like, especially with Nagy coming back, I feel like we have every opportunity to get back to a Super Bowl this year. So with that being said, if you guys got nothing left, we can wrap this one up.
I think we're good, man.
We're good.
All right. Well, everybody enjoy your weekend, and we'll try to get a spaces in hopefully this week sometime if there's anything that happens. And if you have any questions, if you want us to do a spaces, just let us know. We'll get one out there and we'll talk about some stuff. And with that being said, we'll have to wrap this one up for tonight. So Charles, thanks again for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, man.
Ron, man, thank you.
It. Yep. And everybody keep following ChiefsFocus.com. Make sure you follow Charles. Tell them where they can find you again.
CRob5769.
There you go. So with that being said, check us out, follow everything, subscribe, and we're going to be starting to do some giveaways again here fairly soon. So and that's it. Everybody have a great weekend. Peace out.
Cool.
See you next time, guys.
See you guys.